All right, so when I first started studying psychology, I always made an effort to choose a class that sounded like the least thing I could possibly be interested in, the hardest class. For example, sense and perception, psychopharmacology, anything, animal behavior, anything, conditioning, anything that sounded hard. Why? Because I didn't want to go to the stuff that sounded fun or easy. I always wanted to make sure I took classes that were difficult. So this one professor had me get involved in a study. He was working with NASA. I know that sounds like, oh yeah, sure. Anyway, he was a sense and perception expert, and he said that I could beat all of his machines, and he couldn't understand how. So he had me go in his lab a lot and help him build stuff to test astronauts in anti or whatever non-gravity whatever environments. I don't know, he was doing some stuff for NASA, whatever it was. Anyway, so here's the deal. He couldn't understand me because I said, look man, I don't care what I see, I don't care what I feel, I don't care what I believe. I look at something and I question, what am I seeing? There's a tool right here. That tool tells me that bubble is not centered. I'm not happy with that. That is not okay. So I have to do something. Look underneath here and see there's a line. Okay. Now that line was for something I was gonna do, but then I had to change it because I decided I was gonna do a shelf a different way, and then I only had so much wood, and wood's very expensive these days. So this is recycled fascia wood that fell off of a building and actually has all kinds of, what are they called? Carpenter bee holes in it. Man, when I found this wood laying on the ground, it was buzzing. That's what I learned about carpenter bees. They're terrifying, but they're harmless. Wow, they make a lot of noise. Anyway, so I said to the guy, you're setting up these things where you're telling me to point to what I think is level. And I had to pick a point in the distance, 6, 10, 12, 15 feet away or whatever. We had these small rooms. And then he'd put curtains and he'd put reference points and he'd have you step and walk, and the platform would go down or the platform would go up. And then you had to constantly change your reference point to determine how far up or down was level from here to there, right? Something like that, while you were moving around and stuff. And I always did perfect. And I told him, I said, dude, I don't care what you test these other people with. I used to walk around on rooftops. I used to walk in trees. I used to be in construction. I used to be in landscaping. And if you're on the edge of a roof, or you're hanging off the edge of a tree, or you're putting all your weight on some branch and you're hanging so you can reach with the other arm with the chainsaw, and you know, you got to be all sideways or whatever. Or if you're on a building, especially if you're on a tightrope, for example. I learned how to walk tight ropes when I was about, I don't know, 19. You just lower your center of gravity. So watch, this is how you do it. So here's a normal person. I'm wanting to stand up, and you know, I'm on this ladder, which is rickety, but for me, it's pretty safe. But I can stand on one foot and go up and down. That's lowering my center of gravity, or my center of mass, right? So then I step up, but now I'm kind of off balance, right? So, you know, your hips, your legs, your knees, how you are in space really matters. But what really matters is don't fall off the roof, because you'll end up like that one dude who had his legs sticking out and the ambulance had to come, and we had to keep on doing construction while that dude was over there laying on the ground. Because, you know, we don't get paid to stand around and watch somebody suffer. So don't do that. Or, you know, some dude cuts his thumb off because you miscalculate. You know, you're standing on the side of a roof, you're trying to stand there on the roof, and you're trying to cut some piece of wood or drill something, and you know, you're trying to get the drill to go in at an angle because the roof's at an angle, and you know, sometimes you forget your reference point. You know, you got to go in at what's called 90 degrees or whatever, close to that. You got a lot of stuff going on, but you're also on shingles, or something could slip, a tile. You gotta be very careful where you walk and step. You don't want to break anything up there. You want to mess the roof up. You don't want it to leak after you put a solar system up there, or whatever you're doing, man. But the main thing is you don't want to fall off because it's like 2 stories high or higher, man. Even if it's only 1 story, that's a long way down. So you don't want to fall. You ignore that stuff. You ignore some line like that. You don't force the thing to the line, even though that's level, because you don't have just that level. You have another angle of level. And if you see that there, it's bowed. The wood's not straight. So then the bubble is way off. To get the bubble in the middle, that has to do something else. So I'll take a little time, and you know, I've got this secure, right? Enough. And you know, I'll secure this area here probably, and then I'll work this level out after I get this piece of wood here to where I want it level, which means I'll put this back on here, right? I'll try and get that bubble level, but I can see the wood itself isn't level, right? So that's what I was trying to tell this guy is I have to ignore so much stuff, it's not even funny. I'm trying to figure out, see, this doesn't even want to go level, so where can I go? Well, I have my, where my, these things are, right? So I can put this under that. But if I can't get it exactly the same place, ain't gonna work. So I get it here, maybe, and there, probably. So I get down. And you can see I can put this here and here. And barely get it on there. And then I determine, you know, is that level? And, you know, by the way I look at it, sorry, I gotta do this with 2 hands. By the way I look at it, man, this is hard to do. Yeah, this is way off. That has to go up quite a bit. All right, so that corner part has to go up some. All right, so this corner part has to go up a little bit, you know, and I'll estimate it somewhere around there. It's not much, and it's not rocket science, but I'm not gonna put the support here because this is weak construction. I'll put the support here, which will hold that, which means I only need 1 more brace over there. So 1 more brace here, 1 more brace here. I'm not bragging at all. How many mistakes have I made in construction learning what doesn't work? And so that's where I see lines. Those are chalk lines. Somebody drew a piece of chalk with string up there, here, and they just pulled it back, boom, it made a line with chalk so that they could know where to hit these nails with their nail guns. On the other side are these studs. So on that side of the wall are these same nails. So if you understand a little bit about construction, maybe you're familiar with the wood going this way, right? And you think, oh, that's to make it strong. Well, yeah, it helps to make it strong. You wouldn't believe how many guys just hit these and smash them and they don't fit and they need to be cut. So they just bang, 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 and they hit it and they F up all these things and those things. And you don't see any of that. It's just disgusting what I've seen in the construction industry. But the aluminum or metal frameworks, what comes a module where you can just snap the whole house together practically. You don't even have to use wood. That's been around for 25, 30 years. But those pieces that go this way are often to stop fire from going straight up your walls and all the way up through your whole building. So you may not know that. And then to run the electrical wires, they just boom drill holes, 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 and then they run the wire, boom, 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 put in an electrical outlet, more wire, boom, 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 or plumbing, you know, they just run it in these walls, or the vents, you know, they come up from the ground and they go up through the walls and out through the roof sometimes, or upstairs or whatever, and hopefully drainage. See these idiots putting washing machines upstairs without proper drainage? Ha! It's gonna flood the whole freaking house, man. Whatever, you see stuff like that and you're like, oh, $1 million house with the washing machine upstairs, that's gonna be really bad. Whatever, anyway, not my problem. When it comes to construction, some people have it, some people don't. This is a type of an intelligence, but it's something you can learn. It's a skill. It didn't come easy learning how to go down and organize stuff. It comes from saying, hey, I got this much space. How can I maximize the space that I have here? That's a type of intelligence, because this, to me, is dangerous. I don't want to walk around in this, and I want to be able to see what I have so I can quickly get into my containers. But this is perfectly reasonable if you're going to have a place to store your stuff, to maximize and utilize your space and have it safe to come into, get your stuff, get what you need, and get out of it. Some people don't have this type of basic skill. Therefore, a handyman or someone else could be very useful. But I find with just a few basic tools, certainly you don't need a 3-foot level. Okay, where's my other level? Like, I'll bet you that only costs $3 at some thrift store. Probably still has a tag on it somewhere. Whatever. So a level, a cordless drill, right? With different types of bits, right? Get lots of them. Put them in Ziploc bags. Get some yellow paint or orange paint or green paint and paint these things outdoors somewhere, because when you drop them like that, right, you want to be able to pick them up and find them real easily, because if you can't, right, like out there, yeah, and that's why you want to throw some paint on them. Okay, so you want stuff that you can kind of easily find, and little adapters. You can use this to put in a socket. Be careful, don't over torque it. These things are very powerful, right? That's high speed. That's a lower speed, right? But it's also what's called a variable. It varies depending on that right there. So, and then you got the batteries, right? And these are lithium. And so that you buy a system that everything goes together. And as you can see, you got to paint them, because you show up on a job site and somebody says, hey, that's mine. And you say, no, it's not. It's mine. And that discussion ends. Why? Because you don't got the same paint pattern on your tools that I have on mine. So, if this accidentally shows up in somebody else's bucket, then it's my tool, and that's where it's going to go. So that's that. So you can see all my tools, right? They all get some kind of paint job. So I know when I show up on a job that my very expensive contractor shovel, which here's a contractor shovel, by the way, you stand the blade up straight and look at the angle. Okay, a backyard shovel basically stands almost straight up. The blade goes straight down. And if you think about it, this is going to help your back. Instead of some straight blade, you have to go way down to get the dirt. You want some angle on the shovel head. So, when these things disappear, that's an expensive shovel, right? Versus some other shovel. Look at the angle on that, right? That really helps you dig. So, I don't need a lot of tools. But if you take care of them, for example, you don't put them in a bucket and leave them there sitting to rust all year, they'll last 20 years. I rescued this somewhere. It's a piece of junk. I think I paid $5 for it. That's actually a really good flathead that's in great shape and wasn't all rusty on the edge. So, I don't want to lose that either, but it's heck old. I bet that's like 1975 or something, man. Who knows? Anyway, you can set up a storage shed where you don't need a lot more space. You can utilize the space that exists in these storage sheds. If you find one that has an electrical outlet, boom, you got all kinds of options. If you don't, oh well. So here I am, capable of doing something I don't know, a lot of people can't do. I can do what I just did, which is get up on a ladder, and look around. What do I need? This type of a Torx bit. That's a Torx. That's a solid platform. I need at least 2. Now if this falls, that's gonna break. So I might use that with a Torx. I might also need to drill a hole. That's my battery. I don't have my backup charged. Let's see. There's a few more screws. And I have one long bracket. One longer bracket. I don't know what that cost. 10, 15 bucks. Who knows? Nothing fancy, right? So 16 inches that way, 10 inches down. Well, clearly that's just not gonna work, right? You want to smash your head on this. Is that gonna work? Same thing. You might smash your face on that. So probably, you know, you could put it here, but that would put the brace where I don't want it. So what I'll do is use this one here. And then what I'm gonna do is attach this to that surface first. Then I'll push for the level, and I'll try to level it after I've attached this to this. Because I already know this is pretty much kind of level, but that needs to change just a little bit. So how do I do that? Very simple. Get on the ground, first of all. Get rid of this stupid camera. Okay. Let's see. Back on the ladder. And get my... I needed the Torx. Oh no, wait, here's the thing. I don't need Torx. I need Phillips head. So I kicked out here. Where is it? Oops, a couple, let's see. There we go. It doesn't matter. Not that one. And then I need a couple screws that are Phillips heads. All right, so those are Phillips heads. Great story about those, by the way. And Phillips heads. Do you see the difference? Now, sometimes you don't want to go drilling because you want to drill it. You want to drill what's called a pilot hole sometimes. And you don't want the wood to split or anything. I don't got to worry about that. But if I did, then you just go for a hole that's right around the, it's called the diameter, I think, the space across. A drill bit that's not the width of the threads, but the width of the body of this thing, right? So you get a drill bit that's kind of matches that, so it doesn't cause the wood to split. One time I built an entire fence, like 120 yards worth of fence. Oh my God, my kid's mom's house. 120 yards of 6-inch wide, which is 5.5 inches wide, approximately, of cedar planks. This dude welded an aluminum frame for the house next door. Oh, he had this beautiful 3x3 aluminum. Oh, he was a great welder. So he welded the frame and he got it. Oh, so awesome. He was so level. Oh my God, that was beautiful. Anyway, I said, look, if you take care of the framing, dude, with that aluminum and you're welding, heck, I don't care. I'll do all the wood. I'll install all of it. I'll get the best wood. I'll sand it. I'll stain it. I'll make it multicolored. So I had the back layer one color and the front layer, and I had these overlapping cedars, and I picked out each single piece of wood. It took me a year almost to get all the wood together because it was hard to find the correct pieces that had the right grain patterns. And I had to drill pilot holes for each screw because cedar is it gets very dry. And if you're too rough with it, it'll split. So it's really good wood, but it's hard to work with. Anyway, that cedar was awesome, man. That cedar, oh, that fence was so beautiful. People would say, oh, who made this fence? You know, they wanted to hire me to go build fences. I used to do that stuff, but I don't do that stuff anymore. So anyway, you got a 2 angles, right? So whatever that says, it says 10 inches by 8 inches. So one side comes out 8 inches, that's good enough. The other side comes out 10 inches, that don't work. So all I'm gonna do is put this to that and try to get it relatively straight. It takes longer to explain it. If I can use to give it. Oh, there it is. There's my, I was looking for that. That's my Phillips I was looking for. So I can't do all this stuff with my hands full. And I have to concentrate. So I'm good at using this stuff. Look how fast that is. Dude, I've seen people catch their hair, parts of their body, gloves, fingers, fingernails, drill fingers in their holes, watch their hair pull up and boom, rip it right out of their head. This one guy got his gloves on and they had straps. We were running pipe and the pipe had to be oh shit, we were running this plumbing job. Fuck, the dude's glove got stuck. He was on a pipe threader. The whole human being person followed his glove. You gotta get gloves that can break away. Don't get those kind of gloves. Anyway, man, we stopped using gloves on the whole job site after that. Oh shit. Yeah, that dude was very dead when we came back. Anyway, whatever, we told him not to do it. He did it, whatever, he's dead. So, you know, you want to follow the rules. But mostly you just lose a finger. You lose something like, you know, your fingers end up like this. Or you chop off your thumb and that ends up being your, what is it, your pinky? Oh, no, they use your big toe. Yeah, they take your big toe off when you cut your thumb. And depending on which finger, they might do the same thing. But it's a little weird when you see somebody with a thumb there and, you know, they just accidentally cut their thumb off or whatever. You know, shit happens. But they can still work, right? So here's all I need. That's a Phillips. That's a Phillips, right? So that goes in there and boom. That's all I'm worried about. So I only brought 2 of these and I'm just gonna hold that one there. I'm gonna stand over here, simply put this to that. And essentially, something like that. And you know, I know that's not gonna go through, so my hand's up there, but yeah, I have drilled through my fingers. Most definitely. That's why I learned to hold my hands over here. Unfortunately, it hurts sometimes. Fuck up. So anyway, on this back wall, I don't want to use the Phillips. I want to use these Torx, right? So I have to change my bit, and I don't want to change my battery. So right here, you just go like this. Watch, backwards. So now this goes backwards. This goes forward. Sometimes you're drilling something and boom, it gets stuck, right? Or you're gonna get something off. You might want to slow it down. I remember when these cordless tools first came out as Makitas, oh man, in the 1980s, and I started using these immediately. I was also the early adopter of a cell phone. My cell phone used to be 3.2 pounds Motorola. Oh my God, my cell phone weighed more than this. This is a couple pounds. Anyway, I got those things back in the day because I said, man, if I can learn to use this, then, you know, I don't have to do so much twisting and that will save me time. And a lot of guys are like, why are you bothering, man? Just why don't you get a screwdriver? And I go, no, I want to learn how to use these. You have to learn to hold them straight as you're going in, making your holes. You can't just turn them all over the place. It won't work. This is a skill. It's a skill that can pay money. So when I try to teach kids, hey, man, there's different ways you could make money. A lot of times you can make money doing something, say like this, right? So I remember it has to go up a little bit. I'm not too worried about it. No, it had to go down a little bit. Oh, yeah, I got the wrong bit. Change the battery, right? So I already have that bit on this one, so that's why I like having at least 2 of these and at least 3, if not 5 batteries. More like 5. And I also like the car charger, because that way I can be charging these batteries on my car, and I come hopefully with all the batteries charged. So now, you know, to extra brace it, I could put in 1 more of these, but I don't really think I need to stick in an extra screw just because. What's the point, man? So now, back over here, right? And this is where a pen comes in handy. I have all kinds of pencils, but I don't like pencils. I use them. I actually have some pencils that I collected from people 35 years ago who are dead, and I could tell you stories about those people. I still have some of those pencils in my tool chest, and I can tell you who gave them to me, and they're sort of special to me. All right, here we go. That's pretty much a level bubble, okay? So I'm pushing this board against the wall right now. I'm leaning it against, because I don't want it to move. I'm also trying to do this one stupid hand, which I can't do. So I'm gonna transfer my weight. Okay, and then I made a mark right there, okay? So that now to me is my level. So what I'm gonna do is figure out which one of these I'm gonna use, right? I have these ones, but this is only like 1/2 inch thick. You don't wanna go sticking these through there, because then whatever on the other side, somebody might get poked by this. But here's the stud on the other side, and you can go into the stud. So it'd be easier right now just to stick one of these things there. But unfortunately, which one was it? What was it, man? Yeah, look at this. Okay, that's too big, right? And you know, that potentially could get your head. So then you want to go down there and say, okay, would I hit my head on that? No, not even possible. So then it's okay, right? So go ahead. Oh, look at that. See, that's an interesting thing. Just so happens right there is a nail. So if I started at the bottom and I did that one on the bottom, I would end up going, oh, damn, you know? So then I'd have to put it there. So that's why I like them, these braces. I see people using all kinds of different braces. Spend a little money, get yourself a decent one, you know. So I could throw in 1 screw there and 1 screw there. Super easy. Not even hard. Okay. So if I can do this. God damn. This is a 30-minute fucking video. Shit. There we go. I can't do that with this stupid phone in my hand. Dude, I climbed down this, I slid down this side of Half Dome with one hand in 2017, and the other hand on my phone. Anyway, I switched cables. I went from the one between the cables to over to my right outside, and then, you know, I couldn't do it with it, just the grip wasn't there. Anyway, whatever. So anyway, whatever. So there's my line, right? I see my line. I'm put this middle screw in first, and I'm gonna kind of get it like this. And if you start doing this, you start turning this stuff. Okay, if I start doing stuff like this, for example, look at the threads. Oh, see, forward, backwards, forward. And all of a sudden, you know, boom, you do that fast when you're holding those threads, you'll cut yourself. So some people use gloves. Cool, if you use gloves, then you can't feel what you're doing. You know, so I use gloves sometimes, but not for this stuff. No way, sorry. So I'm gonna go forward, kind of start slow. And you know, you have what's called torque. So the torque setting is this part. here's how you know the torque. This is forward, by the way. I can hold it. As I increase the torque setting to the max, I can't hold that. I mean, no. So if you use high torque, be careful. Right, so then that isn't straight. I gotta straighten that up a little bit, but it's not a huge deal. Why? Because this isn't a rocket scientist, it's just a shed. Right, so then this more or less straightened itself out. Then I'm gonna use one more Phillips to hold the shelf in place. Why? Because the shed could eat this, or sorry, the shelf in place, because you don't want this thing coming out and going that way. So you really only need like maybe one screw. Uh-oh, what happened there? Ooh, that broke. Ooh, check that out. Man, check that out. Fascinating. That broke right there. I could take this back. Oh, look at that weld. Oh, that weld is crap. Anyway, whatever. The weld broke. You know, look at that weld, or that weld. It's not really straight. But yeah, you see the weld is bad somehow. Anyway, whatever. It's not important. So anyway, I'll throw another screw on that and then hold that down. And then essentially what I've done is create utilizable space, right? Here's a whole host of different hooks you could buy, right? And that's where you definitely drill a pilot hole, and then you can kind of screw some of these things in, and have a place to hang your bicycle maybe, or whatever else you have. But then you utilize all this space up top that most people do not utilize in the shed. And they rely on something like a bucket and put a bunch of stuff in a bucket. That's better than nothing. Or these, and they stack them in a way that you have to remove half the stuff in the shed just to get something in the back. And if they're not clear, you can't see what's in them. So you got to go through 5 of them just to find one thing. Very inconvenient. And a lot of people use storage. But setting up your storage area first is very important. You could set up a desk here. You could put solar power. You could come in here and do some work, sit down, have a nice little office area even. All kinds of stuff you could do with the space if you kept the floor more clear. So eventually all this stuff will go up. We'll see what I can get up there. We'll see how safe it is. But look at that, it's not going anywhere, right? And in California, with earthquakes, you could even do something like run a bungee cord across here and run the bungee down there and run a bungee there. So if the stuff, in an earthquake, it doesn't fall down if it's anything that might get broken or something, I guess. But that's pretty much it. Eventually, this floor will be cleared out and it won't look anything like this. And I don't see that in a lot of people's storage, or they move in a unit that is set up with shelves. Those are very expensive and very, very heavy, those metal shelving units and stuff. And the ones that aren't, they break, the legs break. And once one of those legs bends, when you're trying to move it back and forth, the whole thing can collapse and everything just slides off all the shelves. So even those, if you have them, you want to mount them so they stay where you want them to, especially in kind of movement or earthquakes, or if you overload them, they don't collapse. Anyway, man, I know this is a stupid video, but how to set up a storage shed, it seems like a skill that, I don't know, man, it seems easy to me, but, I had to learn all this stuff, and it's not rocket science, that's for damn sure, but I sure do see a lot of people set up their storage sheds, and they don't do stuff a certain way, and, even that right there, because that's painted yellow, it's easy to see, and easy for me to find. And if you do this, that'll roll back there. Watch, here's what happens. Yeah, gone. So you don't want that problem. You don't want a bunch of stuff over here where you go like, oh no, I can't get it because I got to move 47 things to get what I just dropped back there. Plan that's going to happen and set it up so that's no problem. Anyway, good luck with your storage. The real storage wars is trying to figure out how to maximally utilize your space in an efficient way. It's kind of low cost.